Welcome to the Green Grassroots of Football with me, Andy Glover.
Me, Mark Grinter.
And me, finally back, Ben Dressitano.
And before we go further, I would just like to thank our sponsor, Rachel's Bookkeeping, for all your bookkeeping needs. And for all you avid podcast followers, you would have heard that Ben has returned. Like Joe Gomez, he's back on the international podcast scene after missing so many of them. So welcome back, Ben. It's good to have you
I
here.
can only apologise. Life got in the way.
So, on this episode, and we'll be looking at social media. And for a change, I'll start with a statistic. In the UK, almost 70% of people have witnessed harmful content online. Now, the sheer magnitude of the problem means that regulators and policymakers are increasingly in need of AI-powered tools to automatically detect and monitor toxic online content. So before we even look at sport, that's just the UK. That's just looking at social media generally. I mean, what do we think?
I can't believe it's only 70%.
I was about to say that.
You think that's of the population. You think people who aren't online.
Yeah. Is that 70% of people that are online or
No,
aren't?
in the UK, almost 70% of people have witnessed harmful online content.
Right,
So you
okay.
think how many people aren't even online?
Yeah.
And 70% of the people have witnessed
I would say
harmful online
virtually
content.
everybody, 100% of people online would have
Online, yes.
Yeah.
But to think that 70% of people in the UK have witnessed harmful online content, you know, you've got people who aren't online. So that's, yeah, exactly. Think how many people are.
I think.
I'm shocked it's that low.
I would honestly
Unfortunately.
think, I would say.
No, but like I
almost
said,
online, I see it every day.
that's the population. You're just assuming that's people online. That's
Oh,
people,
right, now I get you. Yeah.
There's obviously people who aren't online. So
Right,
take into account people who aren't online as well. The whole population, 70% of our population have witnessed
huge,
harmful
isn't it?
online content. That's just phenomenal. Now, obviously, we're going to take this down into sport, but just imagine just growing up thinking of your kids, thinking if 70% of the population have witnessed that, there's a good chance that our kids, our grandkids, they're going to see it.
I would say anybody over the age is between 8 and say
Yeah.
8 and below 25. That would be 100%.
Yeah.
If they've got a phone or they've got a
Yeah.
tablet,
Or they've borrowed mum and dad's phone,
Yeah.
Anything. Yeah.
Definitely.
they're going to be seeing something.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Which is rather a sad state of affairs, really. But
Yeah, but even going back before readily available on mobile phones and stuff, YouTube had it. I remember it I was a late teenager when YouTube was blowing up. There was stuff going on,
Yeah.
like scraps and stuff on there, and yeah.
before they started modulating it.
Yeah, of course.
All right. So, a study conducted by the Alan Turing Institute for Ofcom in 2022, 2.3 million tweets were directed at Premier League footballers in the first 5 months of the 2021-22 season. Although only 3.5%, still over 80,000 of these were deemed as abusive, that's still a large number in total that's creating a serious risk of harm to the players, especially when you consider that 50% of these abusive social media attacks were aimed at a very small proportion of Premier League players. This was also reflected in published summaries made to Kick It Out, with a staggering 54% of those reports relating to racism, and that was a Kick It Out report from 2022 as well. So yeah, 2.3 million tweets directed at footballers. Now I say only 3.5% of them abusive, but still 80,000. And think how many Premier League footballers are in total. There's not actually that many to be receiving that many. And I'm not being funny. If you're sort of third string at Burnley,
Yeah.
you're not getting those tweets.
No, you're definitely not. No.
You know, if you're Haaland or De Bruyne or
Yeah, you see it all
or
the time.
Martinez or Saka, you're taking the brunt of them. So that's just incredible, really, isn't it?
Yeah. And the sad thing is you can be faceless on it.
Yeah.
So, a friend of mine had racial abuse, ex-Rovers player, I think he played for City as well, yeah he did, in Birmingham. So Mark Little, he had online abuse when he was I think he was at Yeovil towards the end of his playing days. Just like, what the, like why?
Keyboard warrior, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
people
and
who are
it was from a faceless
scared
account, and
yeah.
he shared the account, and the next minute the account's gone, but it was a faceless account.
Yeah.
It's just like, really?
And it's any excuse, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
colour is obviously easy one
Easy
for
one,
them.
yeah.
But it could be anything, and it is the modern world, and it's horrible.
But with you, because you both got, Ben, you got your daughter plays, isn't it?
Yeah, she plays,
Obviously,
yeah.
Mark, your daughter plays.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've got sons who play as well. But they're all
Yeah.
sort of they'd love to be professional footballers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At some stage going forward, if they make
Yeah.
it, you must have this now in the back of your mind.
100%.
How does this make you feel? I'll start with you, Mark. How does that make you feel? Those sort of statistics, that sort of knowledge that your children would love to be professional footballers.
They would love to be, and I
and
think
that this could be ahead of them.
you would you'd hope if obviously the clubs are going to have to manage it, because unfortunately, no matter what, you can't stop it now. It's out there, and it is just part and parcel of it. For any of the professionals, unfortunately, anybody in the limelight, you are now going to have to accept, no matter what you do,
Yeah.
you will
well,
get abuse.
But as a parent, how do you feel thinking of your children knowing
Yeah,
that if they
I
make
think-
it, that's coming to them? And it
It's-
will come to them if they
Yeah,
make it that
if
level.
they do make it,
it will come to them.
It will come, and
How
again,
do you feel?
unfortunately, it's something that you have to almost accept. Is probably not the right word.
No,
it's but it's just preparing them, and you've got making sure that they get the right people involved
I
and
was going to
everything
say
like that.
the right people, the right help. Hopefully, in
And
the
the right
professional clubs, they have
The education.
they educate them as they're coming up through the. Hopefully, they're coming up through the academies and they get that education. I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up, but you'd like to think that they have a.
I think they do.
With your agents, especially when you're high profile, you're bound to have a publicity. Someone who runs your account, surely.
Yeah, as a general rule, I
People
think.
still see it though. They still
Yeah,
see
of
these
course,
things,
of
aren't
course. But
And I think anybody, not just footballers, anybody in the line,
yeah,
they
music,
say,
TV, whatever. Yeah.
I mean, you look at politicians, and even think that this week, unfortunately, MP was the big thing that some bloke was said he'd want a shot. I mean, what is that all about? I mean, it's
Yeah.
and that is somebody who's quite high profile themselves, putting in social media about another. I mean, you think,
I'd like to think that one of my daughters, if they did make it or whatever, would either not have a platform or even themselves have a faceless platform.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'd like to think that they would do that, or a locked profile, and it was just for friends and family and other professionals in the game.
But you're saying that you would surely have someone doing it for you.
Yeah.
But what if, like, I know Bradley really wants. Bradley is Mark's boy. Bradley really wants to make it. What if he's not quite there, but he could make it kind of by being the social media person
Influence.
for a footballer.
Yeah.
So he's the one
Yeah.
for a professional footballer doing it. So,
Yeah.
so he, although he's not the person on the target, he's the one having to read
read
it.
it,
So somebody
yeah.
still has to read that.
and that they
There is a
will-
person having to read it
Yeah,
still,
they-
even if it's not the footballer.
they will all, unfortunately. You hate to think for all your kids. I can guarantee all. Say I've got the three of them. I am sure at some point one of the three, even if they don't make it in their ordinary lives, will get targeted for some sort of abuse.
Yeah, and we will come back to the effects of
Yeah.
that and mental
So-
health at some point later on.
Definitely,
This and what
definitely.
it can do.
So, but on the famous side of it, like you said,
Do
I
feel
think all
sorry for
clubs, all clubs, the difference now is that it's 24/7. That people do get to hide behind it.
Well, they do hide. So
I
Marcus,
think-
so Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, Bukayo Saka, 3 black players in England's soccer squad, were racially abused on Twitter and Instagram following the England defeat in the Euro 20s against Italy. They'd all failed to score in the penalty shootout. They were targeted with racist abuse, including monkey and banana emojis and racial slurs after the game, both by anonymous accounts and by those bearing what appeared to be the users' actual names. So
Yeah.
people actually were quite open, going,
did I
"Yeah,
think-
this is me. I'm racially
I
abusing
think
you."
a few of them get. I think a few
I
of
think
them
they
did
got
get
locked up or,
Yeah,
or
uh,
bans and
yeah.
fines and stuff.
Yeah. But that all that does is make people more aware. Okay, I'm going to do it anonymously.
Yeah.
But what do you do then about the what can be done about the anonymous ones? Then for the people receiving it,
I mean,
it's
again, I
harder
think
to deal with
it's the money, isn't it? They say for
because
certain.
it could be your next door neighbour.
Yeah. Oh, it could be anybody.
Could be anyone can hit.
But it's like they've said, these social media platforms. They say they can't stop it. There's certain things if you put in there for their brands and stuff like that they can get rid of in seconds. So
Yeah, of course.
and that needs to be tighter regulated. I think it's something social media giant, and I don't think money talks.
It's just, it's a hard one, isn't it? I feel sorry for the children growing up in this day and age because when I was at school, camera phones weren't quite a thing.
Yeah.
No, I do think they were quite a thing. It was quite a new thing. But it's just constant, isn't it?
It's constant. It's 24/7 for them.
Filming each other, taking photos of each other, abusing one another, whether it's banter or not. Some way down the line, you don't know if that person's getting a bit upset. You don't.
No.
I mean, the one I think that's most open is racism. And Birdsey in 2011 suggested that racism now operates in complex and nuanced and often covert ways that go under the radar of football authorities and beyond the capacities of anti-racist groups. The advent of social media has only added to the complexity of attempting to tackle racism, and the evidence presented strongly challenges the assumption by anti-racist organisations and the football authorities that racism is being eradicated from football. Technological advances in communication since the beginning of the 21st century have enabled racist and Islamophobic views to operate covertly across message boards and other platforms such as Twitter, rather than overtly inside football stadia. In fact, it's not just discussion taking place on select number of message boards. The problem of racism remains socially and culturally embedded in English football in various forms. So it's not just around stadiums now, it's everywhere. You hear it in the stadium. You used to be in the stadiums, you hear it shouted, as you still do in Italy, you still do in
Spain.
Now it's kind of it's taken from there. It's almost disappearing off of
the terraces.
Although you do I hesitate to say the lower leagues, you can sometimes hear it.
I gotta be honest, I've heard it at Bristol Rovers.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
A couple of seasons back, heard it. Don't know where it came from, but it was kind of nipped in the bud by a group of gentlemen around that comment and the stewards. So,
which means that they think, we're winning the battle. It's no longer in the stadiums, but actually, it's going on Twitter, it's going on Instagram, it's going on Snapchat, and it's going on the message boards.
Yeah.
By the way, listeners, if you hear things in the background, we are in Summer Pavilion, and there is a quiz going on in the background next door. So
we didn't enter because we're not very good.
No. So it's a football quiz, which is why we did not make it in. But yeah, so they've gone. One of the biggest I see is actually message boards. So it's not even Instagram or Twitter. It's the fan forum message
forums,
boards.
yeah.
And it's sometimes utterly rife in there. And unless somebody is moderating it, and the problem with moderating is it can be a full-time job, especially the bigger clubs. I've seen it for National League North clubs, and it's just constant message boards, not necessarily abuse, but constant message boards. And so imagine that at the bigger clubs, you need to employ a sort of a team of people.
They do, some of them now, but you can't keep up with it, but
there's some point where that team of people becomes volunteers and fans.
Yeah.
So the National League North club that I was following at the time, it was a fans forum, and so it just after a game they'd lost, it was just abuse, just pure abuse. This player, this, that player, this, the manager, this, the board, the chairman, this. It was just pure abuse. And some people stood up for it, saying, "What you're doing, how you're not supporting the club," and others just utter vitriol.
Yeah.
And if they were actually having to stumble on it and read it,
it's interesting, isn't it? Because they probably do read it. There's no two ways around it. I mean, Chris Martin, the Rovers manager, is getting. Obviously, I follow Bristol Rovers.
Yeah.
And he came out with a comment after the game the other night at Fleetwood, and I thought his interview was quite good, to be honest. But I'm of the fan base, this a glass half full, and then there's the other ones, the negative ones that are just like abusing him, and I'm like, he's inherited a squad, like most managers do when they come in midway through a season. He's inherited a squad. It's not his. He's doing all right. We're pretty safe. I don't think we're going to get relegated now. So you got to give him next season. You got to give him the summer and next season. And I just don't. I'm fed up with whinging. Not just just whinging people on social media. I just think
there's this general consensus that you've got to give managers at least 3 windows.
Yeah.
And the number who say after 10 games of coming into an inherited squad, they're not doing it, get rid of them. It's incredible these days. But they do it now on, like you said, on social media. It's abuse, it's attack.
Yeah. You know. Just like I don't read half the time. I don't read it. I just watch the video and don't read the comments because what's the point?
You know what you're going to get.
And obviously it's not just the men that get it. 1 in 5 players at the FIFA Women's World Cup were targeted with discriminatory, abusive and threatening messages via social media. It was also happening, so it was across the board. And you think, was that last year?
Yeah. Yes.
So you're thinking, hey, we're getting a more enlightened age. No, we're not.
No. Finally getting the women's games, finally getting recognised for what it should be, and then there's still.
So obviously in 2021, the footballing world actually held a 4-day social media blackout in the protest against the abuse.
Yes.
Did it work? I mean, we actually, I don't know if Red Falcon did. We at Fight Club, which AFC, we did that.
Yeah, we did the same.
We put a symbol out saying this is it, and we just stopped everything. We put nothing online.
Yeah, and all our coaches did for 4 days.
Yeah, put nothing on. I mean, we're a grassroots children's club, so we're not that level. But for us, it was a symbolic gesture of solidarity.
Because we use our social media platforms to help recruit players, to celebrate.
Yeah. Celebrate
players, celebrate coaches, whatever it may be, to advertise for quiz nights, like what's going on next door.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just, so because we use social media, we froze our social media for the same amount of time.
Yeah.
We did exactly the same.
Do you think it worked?
Probably not, no.
For about a week.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
I was going to say that. Yeah, potentially.
Yeah, maybe
short
for
term.
about a week. Yeah.
And then
you get a couple of it, and then it snowballs. And unfortunately, as horrible as it is now the modern world with it, and because of the way it is and stuff, it is now educating. I mean, said my daughter is now said she's desperate for a phone and stuff like that. She's not getting one for.
How old is she?
She is now 10.
10. So my Florrie, my youngest, has just got her first phone.
how old is she?
10.
My granddaughter is 8, has got one, but it's not a phone you can make phone calls on.
It's almost like a mini tablet.
It's a mini tablet. It's just got games on it. And she's accepted that. It's like that's actually what she wanted. So at the moment,
more than anything,
it's more about having the games. But it's still a phone though. But she's halfway there, and at some point she's going to go. Well, actually, can I now have this app and this app and this app?
Can I? Yeah. It's hard, isn't it? Because you don't want to make them feel left out. It's just. You've got to police it in the right way.
And at the moment they're going through the games, but at some point they're going to say, well actually, can I have TikTok and can I have Snapchat and can I have Insta?
Snapchat's the worst one.
It's dangerous.
Snapchat is dangerous because it vanishes.
And I spoke to a friend of mine in the police force who said it's actually the worst one for paedophilia.
Yeah, I imagine it is. And grooming and all sorts.
Grooming, etc. TikTok, funnily enough, is the safest.
The one that America are trying to ban.
Yeah, the one is most well policed.
Yeah. The one that the US are trying to ban.
Yeah, that was today. I heard that.
They're trying to ban it.
So that was from a neighbour of mine who was a police officer.
How dare the Chinese have a platform?
Deals with all that side of things, and he said, because I said about it to my neighbour, like Snapchat is the worst one out there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I said it all just disappears,
and the abuse disappears as well. Yeah. It's just.
Although when I do talk to the kids in my team about social media, I say, be careful of Facebook. They're like, what?
What's Facebook?
What's Facebook? Oh, and Twitter. What's Twitter? Oh, no, I'm so old.
Yeah. Snapchat is dangerous.
Deadly.
Yeah. And they'll all want it, or they've all got it.
Yeah.
So, Eni Aluko says that the abuse that she suffered as a result of a certain Bristol Rovers ex-manager social media posts left her fearing for her safety and actually frightened to leave the home. She said she's actually took legal action. I don't. She was talking about taking legal action. I don't know if she did or not, because he compared her to and fellow pundit Lucy Ward to the serial killers Fred and Rose West. He also likened her to Stalin and Pol Pot. And Aluko warned against the dangers of online abuse and the issues that could lead to a female broadcaster taking her own life, and we'll come back to that in a bit as well.
Yeah, that was. I think he's just trying to stay relevant, isn't he?
I think yes, but the
I
problem
I mean,
is,
a lot of this has come out with him as soon as he was sacked from Rovers. It went absolutely.
He did that interview as well.
But how does he stay relevant? By online abuse.
Yeah, online abuse openly every day, almost. And he's obviously got a band of merry men and women that follow him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I mean, Aluko has also criticised Elon Musk's X network for allowing people to basically vomit hatred unchecked. So, I mean, you look at X now, and it has been unleashed again. It was quite tightly held down, wasn't it? And it is quite open and, available to anyone. I mean, Luca says, the danger of people taking their own life, and you go back and you've got Caroline Flack, no stranger to abuse on social media.
Fighting newspapers as well.
Yeah. Faced a crescendo of cruelty from online trolls and negative press coverage in tabloid newspapers, and ended up taking her life. Yeah. And that was, we'll come on to this, that was a mental health issue as well.
Yeah.
And these are the dangers it can lead on to. And again, one, it's the dangers of mental health from the abuse you receive. Two, what can we do as clubs to protect our children? Ben, any thoughts?
With the mental health side of things. So,
because as not so much say my granddaughter who's 7 with her phone, but more perhaps the older ones like Mark's boys are now 15 and 16. They're going to be looking at that. And
I think
older ones.
seeing senior school is kind of the way where I'm seeing the struggles with that. I had 1 or 2 players that had an issue with their mental health. And we were lucky enough to link with a charity called Go Again, who specialise in helping children, coaches, parents, players in and around the academy section of football, but also in with grassroots football. So we've partnered with them, and they've provided free mental health help for I know of in my age group was two players, which was great. They had that access, and they kind of queue jumped ahead with with your GP. There's obviously a backlog, so this is bespoke, and they run it themselves. And Bob and Jacob and everyone involved there are just brilliant, so good. And myself, I've used them as well. So I was hoping they would be on the podcast today, but
well, this hopefully will lead into it.
Hopefully
this discussion will hopefully lead into
they'll join us next time,
a future episode.
Yeah, definitely. But I think that the help is needed, especially when they get. So it's the online abuse stuff that will cause children to suffer, because bullying was bad enough when we were at school, and we hadn't had this technology.
No.
Well, I might have had text messages, but it costs 10p to send a text. So were you going to spend 10p to abuse someone? Probably not.
And it's set for the kids now. I mean, I'm older than you, but if say school, you had even if you had a falling out with them on a Friday.
Yeah.
By the time you got to school on Monday, it was forgotten about. Well, they finish school on a Friday, and they get home, and it's constant again, and it's battering all weekend for them.
Yeah.
It's relentless.
Well, let me give you two examples. Let me give you 2 examples, and we'll come back to this. The first one is the case of Molly Russell. She was 14, and she took her own life in 2017. Her Instagram account was found to contain distressing material about depression and suicide. Research shows that people who are feeling suicidal use the internet to search for suicide methods, and websites provide graphic details and information on how to take your life. So once she started searching, it was like, oh, you're searching for suicide, we'll provide you more and provide you more. There's that thing, and I've done it myself, where we've sat at home amongst myself and the wife, and we've tested it, and we've discussed, say, let's go on holiday to Bulgaria. Well, let's go on holiday to Bulgaria, and then suddenly our phone, say Facebook, will suddenly start showing Bulgaria things because it's listed. So the fact that you're searching and looking at something like suicide or talking about it, it starts appearing on the feed, and that was the problem. And apparently, when they looked at hers, there was so much on there. So that's one of the dangers for the children, especially in our club, that we have to make them aware of, that don't, if you be aware of these things, and if you feel feed starts filling up, talk to us. And then there's this other story. It's a bit of a longer one. Bear with me. Megan Meyer was born November 6th, 1992. This is in America. Her life wasn't easy, but then at 13, life started to pick up for her. She switched schools, joined the volleyball team, and had a new crush, Josh Evans. Josh was 16 years old and had contacted Megan through her MySpace page. For people who are younger, MySpace is an old, pre-Facebook, pre-that sort of thing. So even though she'd never met him, she begged her mum to allow her to add him as a friend. For the next 6 weeks, Megan and Josh, under her mum's watchful eye, became acquainted in the virtual world of MySpace. And after a lifelong struggle with weight and self-esteem, Megan finally had a boy who liked her and thought she was pretty. But on Sunday, October the 15th, 2006, Megan received a strange and disturbing message from Josh. "I don't know if I want to be friends anymore because I've heard you're not very nice to your friends." Desperate, Megan replied, "What are you talking about?" But there was no response. The next day, Megan handed out invitations to a birthday party around school, and then later checked MySpace for responses, only to find a slew of abusive messages from lots of people. Later that day, she hung herself.
Why?
Just 3 weeks before her 14th birthday. Now, when the FBI checked her computer, the last message was from Josh, which said, "Everyone knows who you are. You're a bad person, and everybody hates you. Have a shitty rest of your life. The world would be a better place without you." When they investigated further, they found that Josh had been created by the mum of one of Megan's classmates who had fallen out with her. And it was the classmate who sent the final message. Josh had never existed.
Wow, that's the first time I've heard that story. Why?
Yeah, if you look into it, Megan Meyer's a well-known name in the social media history.
I've heard the name, but never. So that's arrogance by me not looking it up.
Yeah,
that's horrendous.
It is absolutely horrendous. And so, we'll come back to the mental health issues for children. I mean, what unlicensed abuse can do. I mean, she thought she had a friend, and within a day, she had hung herself. That's just absolutely horrendous. And she was not even 14 years old.
The fact that a parent started that.
A parent started and then
what?
Yeah. Apparently it was the parent doing most of the interacting, and then the daughter of the parent sent that final message. But most of the interacting, making say being a friend, was the parent, because she'd fallen out with her daughter a few weeks earlier and had done it, and then sort of cut off ties. Yeah,
crazy,
unbelievable, isn't it? So this is, but of course, to a young girl who struggled with her mental health for years, it had a massively devastating effect.
Well, it did, yeah. And everyone who knew her.
Yeah. So obviously, like I say, you've got Go Again, her supporting Red Falcon.
Yeah.
Have they given you any sort of pointers and things to look out for, or just said to them, just tell your team we're available?
They've given us information that we've then passed on to parents, and that's kind of how we've worked it. We've also, Bob has come down to a couple of training sessions and met different age groups, and we've introduced him just so that the children know of him, and they know that. So if they did ever have to have that meeting, it's not a face that they haven't seen before. Not so much with the younger age groups, but kind of sort of like senior school upwards, we've kind of done it with. So yeah, and there has been plans of them doing a meeting with 2 or 3 of our age groups at once, and them talking through how they can help and support, and if any children have got that problem, and coaches, like I said, coaches and parents as well, because everyone's affected, aren't they?
Yeah, it is. And it's probably going to have to be something which does get more prevalent. I think clubs will have to have more people that are involved with it, and organisations, because it's just horrid, and people can pretend to be who online. They can XYZ can say and befriend kids and God knows what, and like you said, even if they're mental, and they're all impressionable at that age.
Yeah,
they're all
100%.
After it. I mean, there is. I saw something today for one of my children, which I was like, hang on a minute,
Right.
and it's going to be something, and it's And again, that was offline, and it was a picture which, and for some reason he's kept it.
So you're gonna have a discussion with him and just say
No, when I will.
when the time's right.
Yeah.
When the
When the
time's
timing's
right.
right, yeah.
And it's.
I mean, as a club, we've got a social media policy which we ask everyone to sign. But of course, when you're getting players to sign it, are they actually signing it, or are the parents just going, "Oh yeah, document sign that, document sign that, document sign that, document sign that"? Are they actually reading it, especially when they start giving their children access to social media?
Yeah.
Are they actually saying, "Look, by the way, this is the club policy, just so you're aware," because it's not just about a policy; it actually lists dangers as well, and be aware of this.
Yeah.
Are the parents actually looking at that and going, "Oh, just be aware of this," or are they just going, "Yeah, I've signed this for you. I've signed this for you."
I'm thinking about it now.
What can we do?
I think
as
we
a
need
club
to,
more.
As a club, we maybe need to have get experts in, or people, volunteers in that are involved in social media, and have awareness evenings. I know they get taught it in school, but is it enough? Probably not, because they got to learn so much other stuff in school. And
yeah, it's just compartmentalised in school. There's
yeah,
this,
of course
this,
it is.
this.
And they go through a lot, don't they? Especially in
Yeah.
senior school. It's just the changing the workload is just.
And it's
Unreal.
relentless.
And
for
do they
them.
even consider this to be something they would worry about as social media outside?
think they do now.
No. As in, do they consider the football teams something that they consider they should worry about in a social media way, in the sense of, oh, I'm going to contact my football media friend on social media. I'm not even going to think about the dangers of social media I was taught in school, because that's a school thing.
Yeah.
You know,
So
we've
that's
got-
my schoolmates thing, not my football
Yeah,
club
so
mates
we
thing.
need to make this, by the way, you have to think about the dangers of social media like they teach you in school, the same way you have got to think about it in football as well, because it's exactly the same dangers. So take it the same thing, take it this way as well. You know, so some sort of have awareness days, awareness evenings.
Yeah. Or
Certain
even
age.
even in a training session, it only has to be 10 minutes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Beginning of a training session, they've done their warm up, come in, okay, we're going to do this today, but before we do that, let's talk about this.
Certain age groups, whatever.
Yeah, let's talk about this. Whether the coaches want to do that is another thing, or if they're not confident enough, then maybe a parent can do it.
Do you know what? There was an incident in our club where it was a social media thing, and some messages has been sent to some players within the team, and I was asked to go down and talk to them.
Right.
And I sat down with the girls. It was the girls, and I gave those two examples. I sat with them and told them those two stories.
Yeah.
I said, this is the danger. You know, you think you're just sending messages and it's nothing really. It's just, I don't really like that person, so, But actually, this is the length. This is the end game of it. It can lead
be
to this.
Yeah.
Either that person getting isolated and going off, getting depressed and looking at suicidal thoughts, or that person getting bullied to the point that they take their life. And to be fair, the girls sat there quite somber, and
I mean,
a few of them thanked me afterwards, and I've not heard any sort of negative things
Issues
since. So yeah.
So we had an incident in the club where one of the other players actually reached out to their manager because they seen another player posting sort of depressing sort of thoughts on their social media.
I'm glad they reached out.
And that child, I've never spoken to that child who came forward, but I know of them because you don't make a big deal because it's dealt with by the welfare, etc. And I thought that kid's a proper mate.
I'm glad they had the
Do you know what I mean?
courage to
A
speak
proper
out.
mate, and gone looking out for his buddy, and then we got the help that was required because it's gone to the right channels, and there we are.
It's brilliant that they had the courage to speak out as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Because one, it takes courage for one to actually think, should I do this? Because a lot of people will look at it and go, well, should I?
Is that really?
Well, no, not just that. They know they should, but there's still that courage to actually then step forward and talk to somebody and say, you know, it's not me, it's somebody else. But there's still the fear that should I speak out?
It's gone, Coach X is doing this. Look what I've seen. And coach has
for-
gone, leave it with me, and gone to the right
There's
channels.
still that fear of the child, should I say something? So
Yeah,
the courage to
definitely.
say that, one, is brilliant.
Yeah.
So well done to that child, whoever that was. That was really good.
And I've never said anything about it because of, and I still can't say.
No, you can't say exactly, but you give the example of well done to whoever that.
If that child does listen to this podcast, I'll tip of the hat to you. And
Oh, absolutely. That
literally,
is well done.
you may have saved their life.
Yeah, but the more awareness, like you said, so awareness days, or like you said, 10 minutes before a session or at the end of a session, whether it's a certain age or once a year. By the way, boys, girls, whoever, just remind you of this, whether it's the platform we're talking about, or just be aware of these dangers, or the other end, the mental health end.
Yeah.
If you're worried, upset, have fears, talk to us, talk to your
Feeling
parents,
a little bit
talk to a
flat.
teammate.
Yeah.
You know, whatever it is, have a chat. Yeah, but don't get caught by social media. You know, if you are worried, don't start looking at social media where it goes wrong or where people start bullying you and you go down completely. You need, have someone to talk to and be aware of.
Yeah, and hopefully the team then, coming from a team, it's team sport obviously, isn't it?
Yeah.
Always had good teammates around me growing up. We were all, so hopefully then that you put an arm around your player, around your friend, and help them through. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. I will just put on the end of this, if you do receive online abuse, you can report harassment, malicious messaging or distribution of private personal images without consent online, or by calling the police on 101. It's also worth reporting this to the social network that was used. They will have a process in place for such situations and may be able to simply remove the content or even close down the person doing its account. So it's always worth being aware.
Definitely. Always speak out.
Yeah. I think we're going to come to a close for this section because we're going to do 2 parts, and we'll do a second part for a few weeks' time. And hopefully in the second part we'll look at the more positive effects, which would be nice to talk about because this is quite a depressing episode.
I went a bit deep in it.
But before we do close, just last 2 or 3 minutes, any more thoughts or anything you'd like to raise on this, whether it's social media or the mental health side of it at all, Ben?
Just for me, if you get any abuse online, because I feel, we'll talk about the positive side of it in a minute, but I feel social media can be hugely positive, but also it can be hugely negative. So if you do get any issues, speak to parent, friend. If you're a coach, speak to another coach. If you're a parent, speak to another parent. Just speak out. And I think if it was me, I wouldn't respond to any abuse online. I probably would save it and screenshot it or whatever you need to do to keep it, and hold it as evidence, and just try and love one another.
Yeah.
Mark, yourself?
It's like you've already said. It's if you can, it is sometimes difficult. If you're have ended up in a dark place, it's always better to talk if you can, and hopefully the help is out there for. I mean, as I said, you can look at for us. We have to look at the kids at grassroots football, and it does affect them more and more. I think certainly with the girls now, that's something else you have to look at. But yeah, just talk if you can. And like Ben said, be kind. That's the main thing.
And at grassroots level, there should be less pressure on the children as well. In academy level, obviously there's more pressure on them. So I kind of get it. They got that more pressure on them to excel and succeed. But us as grassroots coaches, I know that you two have got the same sort of mindset as me. It's about developing children for future, whether it's in football or out of football or just whatever.
For me, I think I'd highlight what we both have said. Any coaches listening, definitely make sure your team are aware. Use that. Make sure that your players in your club are aware who their welfare officer is, who know who to report to, know who to raise issues to, know that they can talk to each other, their parents, their coaches, but also just reiterate to them to be kind to each other as well. You know, it does start with the person on the phone or on the tablet. As I sit watching Mark on his phone, I'm fairly certain he's not trolling somebody.
He's just tweeted me.
Yeah, I don't think he's trolling somebody. But on that note, we'll end this part of the episode. So, Mark, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ben, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And listeners, hope you enjoyed it, and we'll come back for part 2 in 2 weeks' time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If you like this podcast, then please email us your questions, comments, random thoughts, anything you want to share with us at greengrassroots@gmail.com.
you can contact Mark and Andy through X at Fry Club JFC or Ben at Red Falcon JFC, on Facebook via Fry Club Junior FC or Red Falcon Sport. The Fry Club JFC website is www.fryclubjfc.co.uk and the Red Falcon Insta page is at Red Falcon JFC. You could also type out a fantastic review on Apple Podcasts or give us 5 stars on Spotify. You've been listening to a We Haven't Got a Clue What We're Doing production, produced and edited by Andy Glover.